Right, hey guys, how we doing? Back with another video from Geekdom 101, and today we are checking out Ultra Ego Vegeta Explains. Now, I just want a better explanation as to how this form actually works, because from my understanding, basically, is that like he takes damage and gets stronger. Like it's like instant Zenkai boosts rather than actually like getting damage but then coming back. That's what I get, and the way that Vegeta's characteristic is, it just suits him to call it the Ultra Ego because that's how he's always been. But yeah, we'll get a better explanation from Geekdom. And before I get into this, just make sure you check out my Etsy shop. T-shirts and hoodies there. I'm adding more designs every other week. And Patreon is there as well if you want to support the channel. $1 a month gets your name at the end of every video.
Ultra Ego is the latest transformation for the Prince in a long line of attempts to either match up with Goku or surpass him. And it's
And that's what I like as well. It's like Goku and Vegeta started doing this whole like different thing now instead of doing the same, which is class.
granted Vegeta powers he could never even have dreamed of in the past. A destructive power taught to him by Lord Beerus, the god of destruction of Universe 7. Today,
Yeah.
I want to deconstruct Ultra Ego Vegeta and
It looks so
explain why
cool.
the
Looks
road of
absolutely
destruction is
sick. Like,
befitting of
it's
Vegeta's
so good.
strongest form yet,
Hell yeah.
and what it took for him to get here. Trust me on this one, you will not want to miss this video because I got some really interesting stuff to say. Whether or not you are a Vegeta fan, stay tuned.
Who isn't?
In order to truly understand Ultra Ego Vegeta, you have to understand Vegeta. And sometimes in this
It's
fandom,
in his
Vegeta's
characteristic.
fans don't even understand Vegeta. Now, I'm not going to go deep into Vegeta's
Look at
past
that.
here and
He's so smug all the time.
overtly focus on his character arc throughout Dragon Ball Z and now into Super. That's a separate video. I'm going to discuss why Ultra Ego is befitting of the king and how he got here, specifically understanding his roots and how it ties all the way back to when Vegeta was a kid. I've talked about this before, but you have to remember that Vegeta comes from a class-based civilization. Your value as a living person, how you are perceived
But yeah, he was royalty and everyone was below him.
by your civilization is based on your power level when you are born, which is what drives Vegeta absolutely nuts throughout the majority of Dragon Ball Z. Vegeta could never comprehend as to how Goku was able to not only keep up with him, but at many points
Be above
surpass
him,
him
yeah.
despite being born
A lowly Saiyan.
with such a low power level,
Yeah.
and despite Vegeta constantly reminding us that he's the prince. He's not reminding the audience he's the prince, he's reminding himself that
Yeah,
he's
he's
the
constantly
prince
like,
because he
I am the be-all, end-all. Like, come on, what's going on here?
thinks deep down inside that he deserves to be the strongest just because of his lineage. And that is not how it works in this world.
Nope.
It's a lesson that Vegeta learned from getting to know Goku. They're the same race, but yet Kakarot was born with such a low power level, he was thought to be low-level trash. Vegeta has no time for that, but yet he can't fathom that
It's
Goku
beyond
is
him,
not
yeah.
only more powerful than him, but also a fighting genius. And this is the root of why Vegeta's speech at the end of Dragon Ball Z makes sense. But once again, that's something that's very often misunderstood by the fans. But I will do a video in the future explaining that so that people finally can understand what he was trying to say. Let's go back though. Let's discuss Vegeta's evil and his ego versus actual true evil. Interestingly enough, a lot of times the word ego and evil are interchangeable. Vegeta did a lot of truly evil things when he was
Oh,
younger
yeah, he
because
did, yeah.
of his ego, because he could do it, not understanding that these things
The smile, he always had the smug smile, man.
are not the right thing to do. And just because your daddy happens to be the king of the Saiyans
Doesn't
on
mean
planet
you're
Vegeta,
the same.
he thought it meant he could do whatever the hell he wanted for his whole life until he was matched up against foes that tested him, like Goku and later on Frieza and other characters in Dragon Ball. Throughout his entire life, Vegeta was coddled and convinced to be superior to everybody else. He's a super elite. His parents, especially his dad, would keep reminding him of that. Plus, he did have a lot of power. He was way stronger than Nappa and stronger than Raditz and stronger than pretty much anybody else except for Frieza, not including gods and things like that.
Well, no, there was a few other people stronger than him that we only power creeped into the Frieza saga. But yeah, like What was the guy? Oh, I forget the names. But yeah, the Ginyu Force and everyone like that, they were all stronger than Vegeta, and he just slowly creeped up through them.
And then Goku came along and rocked his world. Go back and look at Dragon Ball Super Broly and even the original Bardock special. When Vegeta finds out that Planet Vegeta is
He's not
destroyed,
bothered.
we don't see him crying or being
Nah.
emotionally disappointed. He just says, "Great, now I'll never be the king." He does not care about anybody who's weaker than him.
Yeah.
At least in those days he didn't. It
She becomes a big
took
change
Goku
in his
and
personality.
eventually Bulma and Trunks to make him
That's
come
my
around
Bulma!
and learn what love actually was. Now, why does he not care? Because Vegeta does not value anybody who's weaker than him. He just doesn't throughout most of his life. This is why Vegeta never wished for Planet Vegeta to come back. This is why he never cared to bring back his own race, because
Oh, damn, yeah, he could have done that, yeah.
to him they were all weak and they all died. And it took a long time before he realized that there's more to life than just being the strongest. Even before Dragon Ball Super Broly and the Bardock special, this is established multiple times in Dragon Ball
Yeah, he just got rid of Nappa because he's like, you're useless to me now.
Z. In fact, the first time was when Vegeta killed Nappa. Nappa was Vegeta's best friend. These guys had wars together. They traveled all over the universe collecting planets. These guys bonded for a long time, but he soon saw that when Nappa lost to Kakarot, he was of less value to him.
He's like, you're no
thus
use to me
Vegeta
anymore.
blew him
Yeah,
up and
you're
did
gone.
not give a damn. Now, there are similarities to this when it comes to Beerus, but they're not quite the same. Beerus has the unfortunate, or some would say fortunate, job of being the god of destruction of Universe 7, which means that it's his job to keep the universe in balance with the Supreme Kais, who are the gods of creation. So
Yeah.
Beerus has to destroy people. And Beerus has gotten to the point where destroying civilizations and planets and living beings don't really affect him that much. Granted, there are some exceptions, but when you're going to take the job of being a God,
You can't
you
really
have
be
to,
bothered.
in your head, not have sympathy for those who have died, not be soft-natured, and be able to just destroy because it's your job. Now, obviously, there may be some guilt in Beerus, but we never really see it. And that's kind of the similarities between Vegeta, the old Vegeta, and Beerus. Vegeta going down the pathway of being a destroyer fits with him, but there's a lot more to it than just that. Let's go back to Dragon Ball Z and to the Frieza saga. Vegeta considers himself the solo example of what the Saiyans are supposed to be. The reason why he takes all of the sins onto himself is because he believes that he's obligated to be the ultimate example of what the Saiyans are. That's what he thinks Saiyans should be. So because of that, he failed to defeat Frieza, which broke his confidence, which broke his will to fight, and he pretty much, in a way, transferred his true desires onto Goku while
for
he
the
was
fight.
dying.
Yeah.
He told Goku that Frieza must be killed at the hands of a Saiyan.
It's like, you're the last one left. You've got to do our race proud. Just do it.
He wants Goku to have no mercy, and it takes Frieza killing Goku's
Krillin.
best friend
Yeah.
to truly hit his Saiyan roots, have much less mercy, and become the Super Saiyan that Vegeta wanted to become. And just to clarify, when I say transfer, I don't mean literally give Goku power, but he sort of figuratively tries to pass on to Goku what needs to be done to Frieza. Goku will never be a destroyer. He'll never be a Beerus or a Vegeta. He's more of a martial artist.
Which is why Whis does the whole Ultra Instinct thing with him.
It's more of a guy who likes competition, but doesn't want to wipe you out if you're weaker than him. He just wants you to get stronger. Vegeta never really cared about that throughout most of his life until the time came when he began to have more empathy for others, thanks to Kakarot, as well as the way that he bonded with Bulma and Trunks during the
Bulma
7-year
and
time
Trunks are a
skip. When
huge
Goku was dead
change
during
for
those
him.
7 years after the end of Cell and the beginning of the Buu saga, Vegeta didn't have Kakarot anymore, so he bonded a lot closer with Bulma and Trunks, and that's how he got soft, which is why he atoned for his sins against Majin Buu and blew himself up.
Damn,
Because
what
he
a
didn't
sacrifice.
want to go back to that. He thought it was the only way to catch up in power, and it was a huge mistake. I covered this in explicit detail in my Majin Vegeta
Great
Explained
video. Absolute
Dragon Ball is a
boss
lot deeper than
video,
you
man.
realize, guys,
Yeah, it is.
when you really look at
Mate, it really is. Geekdom does absolute huge job at like looking at Majin Vegeta in this. It's so sick. Check
I
it
like
out.
this. But I digress. Vegeta continued to show this side of him into Dragon Ball Super. First of all, in Resurrection F, when he tells Frieza that he needs Goku to be his, I guess you can call it his measuring stick, and he wants to keep Goku alive, as well as later on in the Universe 6 arc, and even in Tournament of Power, where Vegeta shows sympathy for Kaba being a young member of his
Yeah.
race, wanting to kind of mentor him. Vegeta has really changed
That's something that we need to see in the future. My God.
a lot, even into Dragon Ball Super. So if somebody ever tells you that Vegeta got no development in Super, that's BS.
Yeah,
He
shut
really
up.
did.
He did.
Do you
Shut
really
up.
think that the Vegeta of old would have ever grasped onto his daughter and refused to train because his wife is pregnant?
No, shut up. Come on. That's the change in characteristics.
Come on, bro. That's not Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z.
No,
That's
not
a
at
new
all.
character. That's an
Yeah,
evolved
he's
man
grown.
who realizes what the right thing to do is now and really became
wearing
a
shirts.
better husband
To
than anybody could have ever
look
thought.
alright for
There's an
Bulma.
internal struggle with Vegeta because while Bulma and Trunks did domesticate him and later on, of course, his daughter, inside he knows, or at least he thinks, that he has to go back to his roots when he fights. So it's almost like Vegeta channels that ruthlessness when he fights, and he feels like that's the only way to truly achieve the maximum amount of power it takes to not only catch up to Goku, but to be the best fighter he can be. Now, I hope that you're following me, and once again, I invite you to watch the Majin Vegeta Explain video.
It's
because
great. It's
what
so
I'm
good.
about to tell you
It's so
fits
good.
in with that. If you remember, Vegeta could not be controlled by Babidi.
No.
Babidi gave him the Majin upgrade, but Vegeta could not be controlled by him, and
No.
ultimately Vegeta did it to gain that boost in power. But unlike other characters, Babidi had no control over him. And some would say it's because Vegeta's too powerful. But that's not the only reason. It's also because of the fact that Vegeta is pure ego. He wants to satisfy his ego by catching up to Goku and beating him
Anyway,
even after
can.
he was domesticated.
Yeah.
Vegeta's ego would never allow him to be taken over by somebody else. He wants to be his own man, even when he makes mistakes like this. Because ultimately, when he did this, it led to Majin Buu being hatched and millions of people dying. And Vegeta knew what would happen, and he still did it because his ego took over. It was all about him, and nobody else.
Me.
Which is why he apologized when he was going to sacrifice himself, knowing he had to do it because he didn't want to put the lives of Bulma and Trunks in danger, the people who he really cared
He
about
actually
at
cares
this point
about,
in his
yeah.
life. So like I said,
Because the guy's never really cared about anyone before, so like he can't really put everyone into this bubble of like I care about everybody. It's like I have this small bubble of like understanding of what I care about. But still, yeah,
it's almost like Vegeta's kind of fighting with himself in a way.
constant
He
struggle.
wants to be. He still has, not wants to be, but he still has that ruthless nature inside of him. But he's also understood that Goku's ways, Goku's much more passive.
They are different,
and
yeah, to how he
positive
approaches
outlook
things, yeah.
on life is something that he kind of wants as well. You know, it's very interesting because his changes don't happen overnight. It took years and years and years. But look at the end of the Majin Buu fight. If you remember, Goku wanted to spare Buu, talking about the fat Majin Buu, but Vegeta wanted to kill him because he was too dangerous. Now, both characters do make a lot of sense, and you can't really disagree with Vegeta. Buu was a problem for a very long time.
Yes.
And at this point, Vegeta has also witnessed genocide, not just caused by characters like Frieza and Buu, but caused by Vegeta
Himself, yeah.
Bum, bum, bum. Think about it, folks.
Yeah.
Think about it. So now we're starting to
Self-reflection.
tie things back into Dragon Ball Super. Vegeta, we saw a little bit of his guilt in the moral
Yeah, with the Namekians and that, he was really apologetic for what he did.
arc when Vegeta felt bad about killing all those Namekians
Yeah.
all the way back in the Frieza arc. But that brings us over to the Granola arc where Beerus is legitimately criticizing Vegeta's guilt. Why? Because Beerus, as a destroyer, feels that that guilt is unnecessary. He has to expunge the guilt out of his heart because that's his job.
Yeah.
So for
You
Vegeta
can't
to
do it if
become
you're gonna feel
ultra
like that,
ego
right? Yeah.
and really become a god of destruction in the eyes of Beerus, he has to let go of the guilt and realize that sometimes you have to destroy. Now, in this case, it's not Vegeta's job like it is Beerus's, but that power he wants to harness, that destructive Hakai energy, has to come from within. It's a mental game. Martial arts has always been about mind, body, and spirit. In Dragon Ball through Z, a lot of GT and a lot of Super. And although Super is not quite as well written as the older series, the tones of martial
Yeah, it's really not. The writing is a bit off, but it's still enjoyable.
arts still stand. And the ability to have mind and body as one will always guide you to gaining the best amount of power. Look at Goku. The Kaioken is a technique that involves mind, body, and spirit. The same goes for Ultra Instinct.
God,
so
yeah.
Vegeta has to have a mind, body, and spirit that is guiltless, that is egotistical, only about himself. Are you following me now, folks? Hence Ultra Ego. But I'm not done. I am not done. By the way, leave a like right now because this is one of the greatest videos of all time. Yeah, I said it. Ultra Ego. Oh my God, Geekdom's Ultra Ego. No, in all seriousness, I'm very proud of this, but we're not done yet. We're not done yet. So remember how in the moral arc Vegeta acknowledges, albeit it sounded a bit sarcastic, that he's bound for hell. This is more of that ego. Don't forget that Vegeta's whole character throughout Z is that he has the Saiyan pride. You know, a Saiyan always keeps his pride. Pride and ego go hand in hand, folks. So for Vegeta to have a transformation that's really about something egotistical as Ultra Ego, even though he's not a bad guy anymore, you don't have to be evil to have an ego or to
no,
at least
not
tap
at all.
into it when the time is right. If you're an athlete, a professional
Oh God, you know you're gonna go for it, aren't you? If you've got the perfect like layup or whatever, you're gonna go for it.
athlete like LeBron James or Tom Brady, you have to sometimes be a leader, and sometimes that requires you to find something deep inside of you to
Oh
pull
yeah,
out and to tell
ego.
yourself,
Let's
you know
go.
what? I've done it before, I can do it again. And that goes for life. If you're trying to get a girlfriend or trying to get a good job or a career or pass a class, it's not about being egotistical. It's about finding something inside your gut that's going to give you that power, that push to finish and to really be proud of your work. There is nothing wrong with having a little bit of pride in your work. But sometimes too much pride can cost you, which is a recurring theme
With
in Dragon
Vegeta.
Ball Z when
Yeah,
it comes
yeah.
to Vegeta. Vegeta thought he could beat Goku, and then
Just
Goku
'cause.
busts up the
Just
Kaioken and
'cause.
hurt him.
Yeah.
Vegeta thought he was a Super Saiyan against Frieza.
No.
He got humiliated. Vegeta thought he had gotten strong enough
Yeah.
to beat the androids. Android 18 punked him out.
Jeez.
This guy over and over again lets his ego get in the way of things. However, at this point, with his new God of Destruction power, that ego is exactly what he needs to tap into it. So in a way, we've come full circle, although Vegeta himself has changed. Sometimes you got to go back to your old self to find out who you really are. And Vegeta is a pretty complex guy. So when you think about it, Vegeta is pretty much the villain of the villains. He's pretty much almost always been a bit of an anti-hero, but I think at this point in the series, he's still a bit more ruthless than Goku is, but he knows right from wrong this time, and so he punks out the villains. Whether or not he succeeds or not depends on the story, and he does it because he feels like it's the only way that he knows how to do it. He will never be like Goku. Lord Beerus tries to explain to Vegeta that being a god of destruction means having no mercy and no guilt, because there's so much destruction that you cause that if you had mercy and guilt, you'd stay up every night and not get any sleep because of the guilt you'd feel. You have to basically therapeutically remove the guilt from your soul. And in Vegeta's case, it's not going to be something he always does, but if he wants to tap into Ultra Ego, that's how he does it. So we see manga panels in Super of Beerus teaching Vegeta what it truly means to be a destroyer god. The very same thing that Vegeta has taken pride in the majority of his life, which is not having any mercy.
Excuse
you
me,
gotta treat
Jesus.
the villains like that, homie, not the good people.
Not the, yeah.
And that is the true secret of Ultra Ego. And Beerus recognizes that unlike Goku, Vegeta is much more apt to this because he has a history of doing this.
Yeah, it's like do it to
But
the bad
first,
people. Yeah.
Vegeta has to overcome that guilt because it's holding back his true potential. And you'll notice during the fight with Vegeta and Granola that he's tapping into the part of Saiyan nature that he's tried to embrace his entire life before meeting Goku. Their instinctual drive to fight
Yeah.
and to win, essentially to destroy. And the more he fights, the more his brain and his body come together during the fight, and it allows him to really get into that destructive inner power he's got to unleash it on whatever foe may face him. But yet things get interesting because during the fight with Granola, Vegeta realizes that he's having trouble tapping into those instincts because Granola is literally a person that is an example of why Vegeta feels guilty. Granola's people are victims of the Saiyans.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And it's because of that guilt and Vegeta remembering what his people did to Granola's people that he has trouble tapping into the full power of Ultra Ego during their fight. And when you think about it, Beerus may have been the first character in Vegeta's life since, what, Nappa or Frieza, to actually validate Vegeta's feelings of ego and his willingness to destroy.
That's very true. No one's gone like, yeah, it's alright, and given an example of why it's okay. Yeah, this is the first time.
And
Embrace
if you're
it.
going to destroy, at least you're going to destroy on the side of good instead of the side of evil. Even though you have to use your ego to do it, as long as you're saving lives ultimately, that's the right thing to do. Even though you can easily lose control, because at one point Vegeta was going to blow up the entire planet. He didn't care because he got too caught up. But that's how you get the max power out of this thing. So taking this God of Destruction pathway makes the most sense for Vegeta. And for Goku, taking the pathway of Ultra Instinct, the more pure route, fits for him because unlike other Saiyans, Goku is not racked with guilt his whole life. The Saiyans took over planets for Frieza. They killed people. And some of them didn't give a damn. Some of them did, like Bardock. Goku, however, does not have those sins in his soul. So in many ways, when people say Vegeta has regressed, I don't think so.
No.
That's not what's going on here. I think he's actually developed quite well and surprisingly better than we had originally thought, because now he's finding out that following in the footsteps of Goku is not going to work for him.
No, he's guys doing their own thing. That's what's cool about the Super Manga. Like, obviously, the Super Manga's got its own problems, but like, it's nice now to see that like they're not just doing the same thing. It's more interesting to see that like Goku's doing his own training with Whis, Vegeta's doing his own thing with Beerus. It's awesome.
He's gonna have to go down his own path.
Yeah.
And that's the path.
I mean, cool. Yeah, he did all the training on Yard Rat to get what Goku had, but then after that, it was like, yeah, he's doing his own thing. That's cool.
Of Ultra Ego, and
Here's
now
Yard
that
Rat,
he
innit?
can tap into his ego, at the very
Give him
least,
some
he can
translocation
use it
stuff.
for good instead of evil. Thank you for watching. Yes, I know I'm the best. All right, I had to say it because I had to do my own Ultra Ego, but
Nice.
hope you enjoyed this video. Now you know that if Goku is yin, Vegeta is yang.
Yang,
And
yeah,
together
yeah.
they are opposites,
Bam.
polar opposites, but also similar, bound by their civilization's history and their rivalry, which continues to be the focal point of Dragon Ball.
They're the
even
only
to this day.
pure-blooded
Share this
Saiyans
video
left.
out with your friends, y'all.
Other than Vegeta's brother, that apparently is made canon, but
I would appreciate it very much. Special thanks to Jordan Lee for co-writing this, and I will catch you in the next one.
sick. Yeah, that was a good video. That was actually classic. I like that. That was really good. Yes, good explanation on the Ultra Ego thing. Love it. I wish there was more of an explanation of how it actually worked itself, though. Like I was saying, like I'm sure it was meant to be like a, you know, as he's taking damage, yeah, but it's more into why Vegeta has it rather than like how it works itself. But that's cool. That's awesome. And it's like a year ago that he put that video out, I think. So other things have happened, but yeah, I'm glad I checked that out. And make sure you check out my Etsy shop. I've got t-shirts and hoodies that I've designed there for you guys to buy. And if you want to support the channel, then Patreon, $1 a month gets your name at the end of the video. So thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video, link in the description. $1 a month gets your name at the end of every video. And thank you guys for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe already. Leave comments down below. Let me know I should watch some future videos. I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.